What's up, Intel Pro members? Eric Prey, Table Rock Fishing Intel, Focus Fishing Guide Service. Got another extended video fishing report for you for Table Rock Lake. It is Tuesday, July the 11th. Actually got it done on the right day this week. Bite's been good. I've actually spent the last 3 days over on Taneycomo though, so I could give you a trout report for over there because all of a sudden the brown trout are biting. But also spent most of last week over on Table Rock, so I got a pretty good idea. Plus, you know, some of our other guides on Intel have been fishing Table Rock, so of course they've been feeding me information, and they of course have been doing reports. Hopefully you guys are liking the new site and figuring out where everything's at. And it feels like, to me, it's a little bit more organized, a little bit easier for you to find what you're looking for. But as far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 915.36, which puts us a foot and a half, a little bit more, almost foot and 3/4 below normal pool. Ain't getting any rain, fellas. We need some rain. I guess there's a chance of rain every day starting on Thursday all the way through the weekend. So cross your fingers that we get something that actually amounts to some real rain. Core's really not been running much water either. They run a little bit in the afternoon to meet power needs, and that's really about it. Water temperature, we're stuck right around 85 degrees. Pretty much everywhere I go, I'm seeing 84 to 86. Up the rivers, I have seen a little bit warmer. Up the James around Cape Fair, I think I saw 87 last week. And then up the Kings, I saw some warmer water as well. Around Sweetwater, it was like 86 and a half, 87. But to be honest with you, the rivers are, with the lack of rain, the rivers are actually pretty clear. They're a lot clearer than I would expect them to be in the summertime. But the bite's been good. Depending on what part of the lake you're on, and we'll get into that here in a minute, but you know, the bite's been good. We've been catching fish. If you've been watching the reports on the Intel, you'll notice that all the guides are catching fish, and we're all doing a lot of the same stuff, but there's a couple other bites that are going on that I found last week, and I'm gonna kind of clue you guys in, let you guys know what's going on there. But of course, you guys use your Table Rock Fishing Intel membership and get all those reports, those daily, weekly reports, everything else. Working out some more bugs and issues with the website, but hopefully nothing that you guys would notice. It's everything on the backside, just some housekeeping issues that we have to do there. And then of course we're working towards getting that app, and probably about a month is our projected launch date on the app. So hopefully we'll get that, and then you guys will be able to see what I've been talking about with the app for a while. But if you're coming down, gonna fish the lower end of the lake, again, the lower end continues to be the toughest part of the lake to catch fish on. I'm not sure why. I mean, my theories are, you know, we've had a lot of fish that have been slaughtered or butchered down on the lower end for the last 4 or 5 years by some of the guides, so that's certainly taken a hit. The water on the lower end has a funky color to it. I think all the construction down there, that we've had a lot more runoff down there, and it's not even a stain. It's almost like an algae bloom, and I think that has a lot to do with it as well. But if you're going to go down fish the lower end, a couple of bites that are working. You can certainly catch them drop shotting. Shad shape, cut tail, UV drop shot worm, chompers drop shot worm. All those baits are working. Most of the drop shot fish though are coming from 2 locations. We're either catching them out of treetops, trees that top out around 20 to 30 feet deep, and the fish are right in the tops of the trees or just above the trees, or we're catching them on dock cables on bigger docks, like the community docks, condo docks, those sort of things. And those boat dock fish, where the dock cable fish will start at about 20 feet deep early in the day, and then as the sun comes up, they send a slide down those cables and get down to around that 30-35 foot range once the sun is up overhead. Catch them on a scuba spoon as well in those same locations. I'm essentially using the scuba spoon to fire the fish back up. Once they slow down, we catch 3 or 4 of them, and they kind of get a little bit wary on our drop shot deal. I will usually drop a spoon down there and just start ripping it around the fish, try to get them chasing it, and then once I can get them chasing it, we can drop a drop shot back down there and usually get another bite or 2 out of that same group. LS spin's been working as well. Those fish are a little bit different. I'm using my forward facing sonar. I'm finding those fish out in front of me, and I'm making a cast to them. I will say this about the LS spin, since it's kind of our first year using it in the summertime, they are a lot more aggressive, and they want that bait moving a lot faster. So what I've been doing is, if I see them down there at 20, I will throw it out there, let it sink down to 20, and I am burning it as fast as I can reel my reel, and then killing it and burning it and killing it. And almost every one of them will hit it as soon as you kill it. But you'll watch them if you've got forward facing sonar. You'll see them chasing that thing. It's not the slow lift and drop while you're reeling like we did in the wintertime. They want that thing moving, and they want it moving fast. If you work it slow, you'll get a lot of followers, but you won't get the bites. Come up in the mid-lake area, and you've got a few more bites when you get to the mid-lake area. Of course, this time of year, you're gonna have a drop shot rig or a drop shot bite. Wherever you go, same sort of deal here. You're gonna catch them around dock cables. You're gonna catch them on deep trees. Shad shape, cuttail, UV drop shot worm, Chomper's drop shot worm, the flatworm from Berkeley. I've been playing with some other stuff, but I continue to go back to the ones that work the best. Same deal, 20 to 25 foot deep on those cables. They get out a little bit deeper as the sun comes up. 20 to 25 foot deep on the trees. They'll work their way down into the trees once the sun comes up. So the early morning bite is better. There is a spoon bite there as well, especially around the docks. Excuse me, I've noticed around the docks, especially first thing in the morning, if you have forward facing, you can kind of scan underneath the dock and you'll see some fish that are hiding up underneath the dock. And if you pitch that spoon in between the floats and let it fall, feed it line so it's falling straight down, you can get a lot of those fish to either bite that spoon or follow it out. And then the LS spin as well. Again, cast into those isolated fish or groups of fish that are up about 20, 25 foot above or below the water surface. And again, I'm ripping that thing to get them to bite it. I'm moving it as fast as I can and killing it. That seems the best way to get them to bite that. Other than the deep bite, there is a decent football jig bite on the Jewel Pee Wee HD football jig. Most of those fish are in that 20 to 30 foot range on kind of gravel and rock mix points. If you've got any cover around, wood, rock, like a rock pile or a brush pile, that's going to increase your odds of getting bit with that bait. And most of those fish, I'm just slow dragging it, and until I run into something, then I might give it a couple of hops if I'm close to something. But I've been catching a few fish doing that as well. Top water bite in the mid-lake has been very hit or miss. If you get a cloudy day, like we had one day where, oh gosh, I guess it was Sunday, where it was cloudy and actually rained just a little bit first thing in the morning, and we could get them to eat a topwater that morning. They came up and they stayed up for a little while. It's not, what we would like to see where they're going to stay up for 30, 40 minutes, but we got them to stay up for about 20 minutes, and we caught several fish on either a shower blows or a popper or a spook or a whopper plopper. We were just throwing out everything we had at them, and we managed to catch about 4 or 5 and had more blow-ups than that, but we managed to catch 4 or 5 on a topwater as well. Go up the James, was up the James a couple of times last week, fished the mid-James, and then I fished the upper James. In the mid-James, the drop shot bite is working, same stuff, UV drop shot worm, Chomper's drop shot worm, cut tail, shad shape, all those baits are working. Again, they're around trees, around docks. I can't seem to find them out on gravel, and the worst part is I can't seem to find a whole lot of walleye out there yet either. But we are certainly finding them in the trees and on those dock cables up there. We did catch a few on the Pee Wee HD football jig and the Pee Wee HD spider jig around point 12. And those fish were a little bit shallower. Those fish were about 18 to 25 foot deep. Fishing main lake points where it would roll off into deeper water. You'd be up and be 12 or 13 feet up on top, but then you let it fall down and get down in that 20 to 25 foot range. We caught a few doing that, and we caught a few on a Carolina rig with a brush hog doing that as well. Upper James, we went up not quite to McCord Bend. Did find a buzzbait bite up there first thing in the morning. Shallow flats where there was shad. You could actually see the shad on the surface. Unfortunately, I don't know how much water is going to be left on the flat that we caught the best ones off, because it's fallen about, I don't know, about half a foot since we were up there. But we did catch a few on a buzzbait up there. We caught a few on a square bill up there. And then we caught quite a few on a big worm. We kind of came back down closer to where Flat Creek comes in and hit some brush piles that I know of that are in that 15 to 20 foot range. We were throwing a 10 and 12 inch worm into that Texas rigging. And I say this a lot, and the guy I had with me had always heard me say it, and then he finally saw it. You can throw at a brush pile from one angle and not get a bite, but if you swing around to the other side, a lot of times it's just a matter of which way that worm's coming through to how those fish are positioned on that brush pile. Because we made 3 or 4 casts at one angle, never had a bite, kind of went around that brush pile and threw at it from a different angle, and we both hooked up almost immediately when we brought it through the brush pile. So keep that in mind if you're going up the James. White River, as always, I'm spending a lot of time up the White. Baxter to, well, let's say to where the Kings comes in. Drop shot bite or spoon bite is king. using the drop shot with a shad-shaped cuttail, UV drop shot worm, Chomper's drop shot worm. Same sort of deal. Treetops, trees that top out around 25 or 30 feet deep. Dock cables on the bigger docks. That's really key right now. They're not out on the gravel. Don't know when they're going to get on the gravel. Probably if we ever get a thermocline firmly set up, they'll move up on the gravel. But right now they're on those docks and on those treetops. Spoon bite is kind of the same thing, but I have been working the spoon a little bit deeper in between the trees because I've caught a few fish down as deep as 45 and 50 feet on the bottom, and surprisingly those have been better fish. If you see something on the bottom while you're looking at your sonar and you're drop shotting, reel that drop shot, either drop the drop shot to them, they might bite that, but I've been dropping the scuba spoon down and ripping it up off the bottom in between the trees, and I've caught a few better fish doing that last week. And then the LS spin as well, casting those fish that are out there suspended up above the trees. What's kind of weird, a lot of the areas, the fish won't come up busting shad first thing in the morning, but as the sun comes out and the shad lift up to the surface, those fish will follow those shad up, and they'll actually only be 10 or 12 feet below the water's surface. And you can throw that LS spin and just rip it through them, and then you get right over top of them, kill it, and they'll knock the fire out of it. So that's certainly something to do there. Go up in the Kings, go up above further in the White River. Jewel Pee-wee HD football jig has been great. The Jewel Pee-wee spider jig HD has been great. A big worm has been good. A Carolina rig has been good. All of them around basically the same areas, kind of the channel swing gravel roll off points. Most of them, I'm going to say 18 to 30. Just because we caught some early up that shallow, but really it's more like 25 to 30, even as deep as 35 feet deep, where those points roll off and it gets down there on the bottom. Since we don't have a thermocline, these fish, and the water's so clear, the fish are a lot deeper than we normally expect to see them in the rivers right now. So keep that in mind if you're going up there as well. Guys, it is about the middle of July. It's not really gotten hot yet, but it's hot enough. Bite has been changing. Bite's been good though. I mean, pretty much every trip, unless I've got a trip down by the dam, I mean, we're averaging 20 to 30 fish a trip, mostly on drop shot, and that's really because of the type of anglers I get, and it's the most consistent bite. But we're averaging quite a few fish with several keepers on every trip. But the bite's been good. I expect it to probably improve a little bit if we ever get a thermocline set up. I think we'll start to see these fish grouped up on gravel a little bit better, and hopefully find the walleye grouped up a little bit better. But, you know, unless it gets hotter or, you know, unless they quit running water every day, I don't know how firm that thermocline is going to get set up. I've seen it in the rivers a little bit, but it's definitely not a firm, distinct thermocline yet. But best way to know what's going on, best way to stay on top of it, use your Table Rock Fishing Intel membership. Invite your family and friends to join too, please, but please use that membership and get all those daily reports and all that information we put out every day to help you catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. If you're coming down though, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743 or hit my website, focusfishing.com. You can either book online or shoot me an email. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Again, thank you for being Table Rock Fishing Intel members, and please spread the word. But thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.